welcome everybody. I just gave you a little preface as kind of what we're going to do today. But really what I'm looking for is, let's even just start, because we're going to talk about onboarding. I don't understand why I don't see more of this conversation going on. We talk about our transaction management systems. We talk about our email management systems. We talk about templates, this and everything. We're all trying to bring on new agents, and to not have a full-blown system wrapped around that or process for that, I think is not setting ourselves up for the success that we're hoping to have. So I wanted to ask Michelle and Jill to help us through that process today, at least what it looks like for you guys right now, what you wish it would have looked like when you started versus what it really looked like when you started, what you might suggest to someone that is growing their business, and what you would suggest that at least the first couple things and steps, processes, tools, whatever you want to talk about, that you think would be a good starting place for someone who doesn't already have an onboarding process for their new agents that are coming aboard. Okay. And if you wouldn't mind, Jill, I was fired up to ask you to do this because I think you're crazy and freakishly talented, and I don't see you on the screen enough.
No, I hide behind it. I'm good.
I know you do. We wanted to pull you forward today.
All good. It's all good.
And I was so excited that you said yes. So would you mind, both Jill and Michelle, we'll start with Jill, at least so we have context, is what size is the team currently now? When I say size, a couple numbers that I think would be relevant to people is how many people are on your team? How many agents are you serving? Generally speaking, if we don't know the exact numbers.
I can get it. Yep.
All right. And I love it. Is generally speaking, how big is your team? Generally speaking, how many agents are you serving? Okay. And then ballpark, what do you think either you ended up with unit numbers last year or unit numbers that you think you'll do this year? Because I think
that's going to be a guess.
Okay. Total guess. And guesses are okay here. We're not trying to give exact numbers, but we're trying to give people a context of where are you guys standing and why is this so important to you? So tell us a little bit about your business.
So we are at, I think we just brought on our 17th person on our team right now, made up of 7 transaction coordinators. That's including myself, although I have one team right now, and I've pretty much gotten out of the day-to-day.
Okay.
So 6 full-time transaction coordinators. We brought on a director of ops last year.
Okay.
We've got 4 people that either handle intake or compliance that are all overseas that take care of that stuff for us.
Okay.
We have an ISA. So there's, from when I started, I think it was maybe 5 of us.
Yeah.
And that's 2.5 years ago now. So we've grown quite a bit in the last little bit. Right now we're at just about 190 agents.
Okay.
And I think last time I counted, it was 26 different brokerages. And that'll be important for later. I'll explain why. But honestly, when I came on, it was, Alex will be the first one to tell you that it was a what she calls an ish show. Just the handoff, as far as a new agent, it was not smooth, and it was a huge pain point for us. Huge.
Okay.
So.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I did say before we hit record that I really want to hear if there were pain points, all that kind of stuff. And I didn't know that walking into this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing, and I apologize for not asking, do you mind telling us what organization you're with?
Oh, sure. Minnesota Transaction Coordinators.
Okay. So I should know this because obviously I've known Alex for a number of years, and I've known about your group a number of years and stuff like that. But where I've kind of lost track is the name just confuses me, because you really don't, most of your staff isn't even sitting in Minnesota, correct?
I've never been to Minnesota ever.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So I've never met Alex in person. I've met you and not Alex.
Yeah.
No, so we have, I think there's 3 of us, well, not us, but 3 of the team that's actually in Minnesota.
Okay.
We are all over the world, actually. So all over the United States, time zones everywhere. A lot of us have a connection to it, or obviously it was, for me, a connection to someone that knew Alex, and it was real estate and how I got into it. And I forgot numbers too. I think last year we're somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 this year. Last year, I want to say it was like 1,500, 1,600-ish. I'm totally guessing that I don't have those numbers.
It gives us general idea, but I do find it interesting. And I thought I remembered Alex once saying that probably one of the biggest mistakes she made was naming her company Minnesota Transaction Coordinators, because you guys are all over the place. So
Right now, still Minnesota, but we have dabbled or tried to go into Wisconsin a couple of times and then pulled back because we weren't quite ready. And then it's like, okay, well, it's not Minnesota Transaction Coordinators. What is it now?
yeah,
So yeah, that was one of the things she said.
your team is all over the place though. So
Yep.
Michelle, give us your story. Tell us a little bit about the team, kind of the same things. Now, I'm sorry, Jill, your actual role and title at your team is what?
Lead transaction coordinator, even though I'm not day to day, but I manage the TC team.
Okay. And then Michelle, you are the owner and founder of your organization, correct?
Well, I'm a part owner of Real Estate Experts in, are you talking to me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Other Michelle.
I was like,
Other Michelle.
because I was like,
I was waiting for the
remember
clarifier. Is it this Michelle or is it Michelle?
I'm
that
so
looks like
glad
she's in
it's
Hawaii.
not me, because I'm thinking I'm attending this because we are lost. Why is he asking me these questions?
And by the way, let's put in context is I know both of these Michelles, and the Michelle that is sitting apparently on a beach and is lost is her team has grown. This is why I think this conversation is so important. Every once in a while, we are coasting along at a certain level and everything changes in 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. That's what's happened to Michelle's business that's sitting on a beach. That Michelle is her business went from having a certain number of agents to all of a sudden that almost tripled or quadrupled within about a 9 to 12 month period. And what she thought were amazing systems did not scale to that growth at all. So I love that you're here for this. But how about the other Michelle? Tell us a little bit about your business, Michelle.
Well, now that we're here, right?
Yes.
My business, we're based out of South Florida.
Okay.
We're a team of 3 coordinators, 1 listing manager.
Okay.
And I handle the day-to-day for the business. I'm the director of ops for our company. I'm so ready to give that up. But I handle the sales and the direct and operations for our company right now.
Okay. How many agents are you working with?
Right now, this month has been nuts. I don't know if everybody knows, but I've been doing a 90-day challenge, calling 10 agents a day or 10 brokerages. And so we've grown quite a lot in the last month from all the activity. So it's been nuts. But when we started the year, we had 60 producing agents. We had a couple of stragglers there that were not producing, but
Okay.
we love them because they were with us for such a long time. And we're like, we're not going to give you the boot. We love you too much. As of last week, we have 640 agents.
Whoa.
We've onboarded 3 new brokerages. We have complete exclusivity.
Wow.
And so, and then we got a team that does 115. So it's just been nuts. I had to stop this week in the 90-day challenge. I told the people that actually organize this, I was like, I can't do any more calls. We have to manage what we got right now.
Yeah.
And this week has been nuts with uploads and life is good. But what I noticed is that now I have to hire someone else.
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
So with this 90-day challenge, you truly are in the middle of seeing the importance of having an onboarding system like no other time.
Oh, the good thing was that we went through this kind of like last year.
Okay.
And that's when I realized my onboarding was in the toilet. So I had worked with a coach outside of real estate. Yeah. And he was actually a sales coach. So he helped me hammer in my discovery sessions, my wow calls, and onboarding. And he was amazing. So good. Literally, because we went through that pain point last year, that I was there why do people not know this? I thought I went over this with them. And it's things that I knew that I already talked to them about, but I guess they needed another reminder. Mm-hmm. Or a set pace because maybe too much information all in one go. Yep. Is why we had to create our onboarding series, or what we like to call our win series.
Okay.
with our customers, and just really create an experience for them. So that really elevated us from our market.
Okay. So something
Like
I just
as
want
soon
to
as people go through it, that's what they're like, holy crap, I've never seen this before. I'm here like, I know.
Okay, so I obviously, Michelle, you and I know each other, and Jill, you know that I know your boss, Alex. Okay?
Right. Yep.
So here's the situation. I want to talk about the two leaders that own this organization that both of you are pretty consistently lately. I'm hearing you both use the same word in almost everything that you do. Somehow, one way or another, you both end up finding a way to put the word experience. Okay. The customer experience, our agents experience, and everything else like that. You guys are not just developing systems, you're developing systems that create certain experiences. And I've been finding that word to be fairly common in some of the verbiage. I hear it from Alex a lot lately. It seems to be kind of a go-to theme for her, that's what she's looking to create when she builds these systems, regardless
And even
of who
within
she's
the
building
team.
it for.
Yeah. And
Oh,
even
with the
within our
team
team.
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So let's do this. I would really like to hear from both of you. I'd kind of sent you guys a little bit of an email earlier as far as kind of some of the basic questions. And I'll let you take those questions for how you want to take them. Can you tell us a little bit about your existing system and what you love about it and what you can recommend to other people that they should take into consideration on that?
I'll go first because I think Michelle's going to probably wow everyone the way it sounds from her system. So I'll go first and just get it out of the way. I talked to Alec a little bit too, because our onboarding system is split up between three of us.
Yeah.
So and I've got a Trello document that breaks down each and every step so everyone can check off when they're done and we know where it gets passed off. Really what happens with Alex is she's going to have that first interview. So for example, we had an email, I think an hour or so ago, another agent said, hey, meet this person in my office. They need a TC. And so that pretty much starts our checklist of what we go through and do. So it goes to Alex first, and she's going to start. And sorry, I'm looking over here at the screen too, because I don't have it memorized.
Yeah, do whatever you got to do.
So she's going to make that initial contact and go through, what our services are. What does it look like? What do we take care of them? She also wants to get a feel for them. Let them talk about themselves. Agents love to do that. Let them do it.
Yeah.
Because then we can get a really good feel, because there's some agents where they may be a great fit with one of our TCs, or they just may not be a good fit. And that's a really good chance to figure out, okay, what's their disc or what's their personality? Who are they going to fit with?
Yep.
It very much used to be that it was like, okay, they're with ABC company, they go to this person. And then we've gotten to the point where we've grown past that. We can't do that. So now it's more of a cultural fit of who they're going to work with best. Okay. And capacity, of course.
Yep.
She's going to research their production. And with that too, she always likes to ask them, okay, well, how many did you do last year? How many do you expect to do last year? And you can pretty much weed out the people that are boastful or increase those numbers. And she has a pretty good idea of what they actually will do. And she's usually pretty right on with those numbers too.
Okay.
And that way we're looking, okay, if we're going to go give it to Joe TC, what's their capacity for the year? What's their production for the year? Can they handle another 40 files a year? Or do we need to move things around? So she has those conversations and kind of goes through everything, what the experience is with them, what we do for them. From that part, she's closing the deal and getting the contract signed.
Okay.
Once that contract signs, it gets handed off to Paulette, who is our director of operations, and myself. And really, this is where, prior to Paulette coming on and helping us create these systems, it was a mess. Honestly, she would sign an agent and go, okay, here's your new agent. And nothing was set up, and you're having a day where everything is maxed out, and then you're getting a new agent that you're trying to figure out stuff with at the same time.
Can I ask a question? Because I think that this is relevant for a lot of businesses. I think some people, they see your guys' business, and both of your businesses are very large, okay? And I think they think that you guys have it all figured out and all dialed in. Now, we're admitting that maybe before it was the ish show, I think is what Alex called
6
it.
months ago. Yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to say that is,
Yeah.
I think people think that that might have been, we're talking, it was the ish show when she started. I don't think it was that long ago.
No.
And it was already at the point that most of the people from the outside that are looking at her are already seeing her as a very large business,
Right.
a very dialed in business. But behind the curtain, even the biggest teams that you see don't have this dialed in.
It's having the right
are starting
person.
to dial this in, what, the last 6 months ago? You
Yeah.
said?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think Paulette came on in November. So what, less than 6 months?
Yeah.
And what Paulette did is sit with every single person on the team and, you know, what would you like to see done? What needs to be improved? What do you like? And kind of got that. So from that, I mean, obviously one of my biggest complaints was I get a new agent, nothing is set up for them, and I've got to figure it out in the middle of having 15 new files that day.
Yeah.
So that was one of the very first things we did. So from there, she takes care of making sure their billing is good. They're set up with QuickBooks and all the back end stuff is all set up.
Okay.
Once she gets that, and then obviously researching production so that we're putting with the right person. It comes to me to finish, and that's honestly when I'm getting them ready for the TC.
Okay.
At this point, the agent, and honestly, this takes probably less than 24 hours just to give you an idea,
Okay.
depending on what's going on that day. Usually it's only a couple hours. At this point, the agent, we haven't sent out a full introduction yet. We haven't given a link to our forms. They can't start yet. But it really doesn't take that long. So they're not really, I don't think most of them are really feeling that. We get a few antsy ones that are ready to run. But from there, I take it and get all their templates set up in the MLS. So if an hour after we send out our intro, they want to write an offer or get an offer submitted or get listing docs ready, the TC is ready to go with it and not having to figure out, okay, what docs do their brokers need and what needs to be done. So that's already ready for them. Our whole team is set up with their MLS, so everyone's got their admin access to it.
Okay.
And then I make sure, like for us, we're using open to close. I make sure that if it's a new brokerage, we've figured out what's their compliance look like. Are they in SkySlope? Are they in Dotloop? What are they using? Do I have a checklist so when that TC has a file, they're not going, okay, great, what do I do with it now? Granted, a lot of our people coming on are referrals, so they're people that we already have a relationship with the brokerages with, so it's easy. But we had one last week that's brand new brokerage, so it's figuring that stuff out before it gets handed to the TC. Once we get all of our boxes checked, it goes to the TC. We send out an intro, you know, great to work with you. Here's your link to our forms that we use. Here's your TC that's been assigned to you. And then from there, we let the TC do their introduction, which we expect the same day as well.
Okay.
And then we're off and running.
Okay. I want to walk through what I think I heard the process is, just so that everybody can kind of put some bullet points together. And if I'm off base, please correct me, is regardless of what people are involved, because even if one person did everything, this is the process I heard. We have the initial interview, say it goes well, we sign a contract with them. Okay.
Right.
Next steps, we're setting up billing and just some of the back end technical things.
Yeah,
Okay.
accounting and office stuff. Yeah.
Accounting, office. The next thing that I heard was what you phrased as the final setup, which is the templates, the checklist from compliance. I didn't hear you mention anything about any of their login and passwords. Was that be during this time as well, that you're gathering any login and passwords that you need from them to access anything?
Yeah, like if they've got SkySlope and stuff like that, we do collect that when Alex is with them, she does collect that information. Saying, you know, she'll ask them, our form says, what system do you use?
Okay.
And then we will have a way of collecting that information.
Okay, that's helpful. And then the last one is handing it off to the actual TC. By the time the TC gets it, I mean, there's no doubt in my past, I've been handed off agents, and I'm trying to do everything you just talked about in the midst of handling 100 simultaneous files.
Right.
And that's just a reality of how a lot of teams work. Hey, by the way, we're super excited. We have a new agent. There's no way I'm going to put my best foot forward when I'm trying to handle that in between files.
Absolutely.
I'm never working with 30 files at one time. That would be ridiculous. I'd be bored out of my mind. But 100 files, if that's my normal day and I can handle that comfortably, but then throw one or two agents in between there, even if you can handle 100 files, that new agent is not going to get their best experience.
No.
Period. onboarding. So you got to think about what your capacity is. And I love that you guys have those steps and processes. Now the team has gotten big enough to the point that you have specific people that are good at those processes.
Right. Yeah.
And it works through those people. Now, before we go into a little deeper in yours, because I'll have other questions on that and how we got there and what it used to be, Michelle, can you kind of take us through your process? And I'm curious on your end, does yours also go through multiple people? Because your sheer numbers of staff is smaller. So is it just you're doing all 4 of those steps? Or tell us a little bit about that and what yours looks like.
So I leverage technology a lot.
Okay.
For me. And what I ended up doing was, as soon as a call or a registration on my website comes in for our Wow Talk, which is a discovery session, it's about an hour long. And this is where I'm going to ask the most important questions about their business. I've already done research before our phone call. So now I'm just trying to get to know who they are and if we're going to be a good fit together. Okay. There's 2 things that can happen, or 3 things. 1, we like you, they like us, and we're going to move forward. They like us, we don't like them, but I have a referral to someone else. Or 3, we cut the call short because it's just nothing's ever going to happen here. So those are the 3 things that can happen during the discovery session. Okay. Once they say yes, let's move forward. I'm like, great. This is when we trigger off through MailChimp our win series, and it's 7 days. So what happens in that win series is, 1, they sign their service agreement with us through DocuSign. It's a 7-day video series going through our program, our packages, what we do, what our hours are, everything that I needed to answer for them. That we went through it on our phone call, but I wanted to have it again so that they know. And it's like quick 5 to 7 minute videos that they're getting. So it's not, I'm here like, listen to it. We're going to talk again after that week is over, because that's my next touch after they had technology, which is this series. Because this is how we're going to win together. That's what we call it, the win series. It basically tells them again what they heard through the call, because I go through our hours of availability. I go through what our costs are. I go through what happens if we don't get paid, and things of that nature. But now they're getting it again, how we like to receive referrals from them, how we like to receive reviews or feedback. Everything that they could possibly need to know is covered through that video series. After the win series is over, I'm triggered a task through my line desk, which is my CRM. And it says, okay, time to call the agent. Hi, just following up again. How was the win series for you? Do you have any questions from everything that you went through? Now, I just want to make sure that they actually watch the videos, right? And 50% chance they did, 40% chance they left it running in the background, and 10%, I couldn't do it. I was like, sweetheart, it was like 5 or 7 minutes each video. That's why I told you it was small bite-sized information for you to get this. But it's okay. I get that you're super busy. Please try to go in at least once while you're driving and let it play in the background so you can listen at least one video. And I'll call you again in a couple of days. And I do, when it's that 10% chance they didn't do anything. Then from that point, I'm following up every 2 weeks. It's being triggered on my line desk. Call them again because they haven't submitted their first file. While I'm waiting for that first file to come through, I'm checking up and I'm having my gas calls, which is my give a shit calls. I'm trying to find out, how are they doing? How's business? What's the market looking like out there? How's their family? I'm learning about them and putting all these little notes inside my CRM because I ask a lot of information in the first video series that comes out, which is our communication. And that's where I'm asking them to finish the service agreement, as well as give us, fill out a form that gives us the credentials, their birth date, are they married, what's their spouse name, what's their favorite candy bar, what's their favorite restaurant. I'm asking all these little things because we like to celebrate a lot of wins as we're going through our process. It's our experience with them. So when they submit their first file, I'm sending out a handwritten card with a candy bar. Now life's going to really get sweet for you now that you've submitted your first file. That is our first touch of after they submitted their first file. Then as they get to the 10th file that we've closed together, I'm going to send out another card and another small gift. A lot of small touches to really create that experience that we're here with you. I've gone ahead because once they submit their first file, that is actually when they have their first call with their assigned transaction coordinator for a meet and greet. And they're going to reestablish again their communication style, their time block, how they work things. And if they're partnered with us in our Slack channel, then they have all those images of their time block. They have their availability. They have where they need to submit any requests, all pinned to their communication channel with their TC. So it's really about that experience that we're offering organization in their life. We need to show organization from the beginning. We're showing kindness and grace. We show that from the beginning. So they're like, they're doing what they say they do. They act the way that we expect them to act. And it's all in everything that they do. This did not happen overnight. I had gone on maternity leave and realized nobody knew anything about the way that our business was run. So I had to re-educate the people because we had last year before I had my little baby, we started the year with 200 agents. When I went on maternity leave and came back, we only had 75 agents. So I lost a ton of agents. And because of that was because we had to create the series.
Yeah.
And I was like, everybody coming in will know exactly who we are, what we are about, and what happens, and how that is taken care of. They know what our service agreement says, even though they say they read it. People don't read, unfortunately. They don't. We read, but they don't. So I put everything that they needed to know on a video.
Yeah. So what you have done really, now, Jill, you mentioned really things changed quite a bit in the last 6 months for you guys. Okay. Michelle, this past year, you've really, really, really honed in on, we need to change the experience. Okay. So something that you do that we used to do as well is we do, and I would suggest you put a process in place for this, whether, I mean, there's multiple different ways depending on what CRM you have or how you're tracking your business. But we used to absolutely do milestone celebrations. We would do certain things where we would make a huge deal off of your first transaction. We'd do a certain thing after the third transaction. I'm not sure everyone's going to agree with me on this next statement, but as far as I'm concerned, if I hear anybody say, hey, I've got a new agent. No, you don't. You don't even have a customer until they've closed their third file with you. Okay. I don't even know if they're going to continue to work with me after they've given me one file. Okay. When they've closed 3 files with me, I'm pretty convinced when they've used me 3 times in a row, I'll bet on me every single time. I will win that customer over based on that experience. Okay. It's about that experience, but I don't believe it's my customer even until we've gone through at least 3 files together. That's my number for me. Remember this, you can have the easiest file that's ever existed and they think you're overpaid because they don't think you worked hard enough on the file. Okay. You could have the worst file that ever existed and you are the only reason why it closed, but it was still a nightmare of an experience. Still gives them a bad taste in their mouth about the experience. Okay. But if you take 3, generally speaking, there will be enough information for them to really judge whether you're a good fit for them. 1 is not enough. 2 is not enough. Usually within 3, I would say we have a reasonable expectation of each other, whether this is a good fit. And it may not even be that you're not a good fit for them. They may not be a good fit for you. Okay. But then also, Michelle, you said another one that we used to celebrate. 10. There's something weird about getting into double digits. Come on, have some fun, celebrate that, and really make them feel amazing. So I like that you do those kind of milestone celebrations. I do want to ask both Michelle and Jill, if I can ask you, Jill. Michelle mentioned Slack. Okay, what type of communication both on the onboarding process and while you're working with people, what does that communication look like? Some people, it's 100% email. Some people will not do calls because they say they want everything documented. I still do calls, but I do everything. Every call ends with a follow-up email summary of what we just talked about. What is your guys' communication for both onboarding and while you're working with the agents look like?
So with onboarding, Alex is usually always that first call with the agents, usually always a Zoom. I know she's done some in person, but nowadays that really just doesn't happen much anymore.
Yeah.
From there, when they get assigned to their TC, it is in our, we do have like templated introductions. We all do those because I don't want it to be like, oh, I don't want to have to think about what I have to say to this agent. It's an introduction. Here's a little bit about me. At the end of all of ours, it's, if you'd like to schedule time, I'd love to meet with you over, Zoom, over Meets, whatever. I recommend to all my TCs that they set up a face-to-face, digitally face-to-face meeting with those people. You can get so much more about seeing someone's reaction and how they react to someone than just someone's voice.
Yep.
And the voice is still better than just an email. It goes off what the agent is too. Sometimes the agents just aren't those kind of people that want to have those, but we do get a lot that they want that. They want that face-to-face, virtual introduction. So I do ask them to do that. I'm not going to force them to do it if they're not comfortable. I've got some new people that I've got new TCs that are in their 60-day training right now that they got assigned someone and she jumped right on that call. I'm like, awesome. Yeah. Good. And it's like there's no wrong answer really. It just, they just want to see you. They just want to see that there's a human behind the email.
Yeah. Once they're getting started, and I'd like Michelle in a second to kind of clarify, because maybe I misunderstood, is once they're up and running and you are doing files, you've done 3 now, you've done 10 or anything else like that. What is that? Do you guys use Slack to communicate with them, or is it all via email? What does that look like?
I mean, we've all got Vonage numbers, so they do have our phone number to text or call.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, when I had 50, 60 agents of my own, I probably was a handful that would actually text and call me. Yeah. I didn't have a lot that really did. A lot of it is email. But I always tell people, if you're starting to email back several times within the same hour, pick up the phone, and that's what I prefer, but we don't have an outside messaging that we use for agents.
Okay. Oh, we just lost Michelle. I saw that her face completely froze. I'm like, she's either the most still person I've ever seen, or no, I think that's good. I do want to mention one thing, if people haven't thought about this, is I've had feedback from people go, David, I've heard that you still like to make the calls, because I still think everything is relationship based. I think we're in a relationship business and it's really hard to convince me otherwise. Okay. Everything is about the relationship. So I do want to get on the phone with these people. I do want to have real conversations. And even if everything is going well for a month, 2 months, 3 months, I'm looking for excuses to pick up the phone from time to time just to keep the real human side of the relationship going. Now, what you had just mentioned is you have these, you almost kind of template out for your people that are calling a little bit of a script or a little bit of an outline or something like that. So they don't have to think about what they're going to say. So what I have done on that is, I know this, when I call an agent, I might not get the agent, okay? Right. Which means I'm gonna have to leave a voicemail. Now, what I do is I write my emails. I have templated emails, and those emails actually become my phone scripts, my templates. Oh. So you're not doubling up any work or anything. So you actually template your email rather than in paragraphs, it's kind of in bullet points. So that actually you can use as your outline for your phone script. Now you're not doubling up, you're just being more efficient, you're being more consistent. Yeah. And if I do get the voicemail, then I can go ahead, quickly hit some of those points and let them know, by the way, I'm just dropping you an email right now. Here's a couple things you'll see in it. Feel free to give me a call back. I'd love to talk to you. And if you do reach them, it still works as your outline for your phone script. Yeah. Okay. Just makes you more efficient. Michelle, we so missed you. So Michelle, talk to me a little bit about the Slack portion that you mentioned. What do you use that with specifically with your agents if a lot of the communication on transactions, I'm assuming, is happening in email or maybe not? I have one team that does nothing with their agents via email. Everything about the transaction is actually in Slack, which is per property, which for channel, which drives me nuts because I can't imagine having 100 channels for 100 different properties. So to me, that's not scalable, but they love it. I don't under. How are you using it?
So Slack, we create channels for our specific agents. And that's where we talk about everything that has to do with their transactions. We're going to get approvals for documents that have been drafted because we do draft documents.
Okay.
But we need the written expressed approval to ensure to circulate it. So that's where we use Slack for.
Okay.
Those that don't have, because Slack is only for those that already have Slack. Those that don't, we use WhatsApp because it has the same capability for us to send them documents for them to review and approve. So a lot of the tools that we use need to have the ability to review documents, and they can open it and review and approve it. So Slack and WhatsApp are huge for us. Some don't want to download another program, and we're literally using Ring Central and sending them images of things but that's just communication between the coordinator and the agent. And I happen to be in all of them because I want to know that everything is going great, especially at the beginning of the relationship, that everyone is being attended to. So it's just a communication channel for us. Everything does happen on email when it comes to the processing statuses and following up, and that is our chain of record.
Okay.
But communication with our agents happens through any of those three means, depending on what they have.
And you push them towards that rather than saying text your coordinator back and forth or anything. Just use Slack as our primary communication back and forth.
If they have Slack, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll go back and forth. And if it's going too much, then hey, let's jump on a call because we need to get clear on this. You're talking Chinese, I'm talking Japanese, we need to get together.
Okay, so I'm going to ask both of you, and Michelle, let's just stick with you for a moment here, is assume that, here's what I love about this conversation, which I had no idea it was going to go in this direction. Both of you have made huge leaps in the last 6 to 12 months in your onboarding process, okay? And I've heard great things about, that's why I called both of you, okay? I heard one person call Michelle a guru, and I know Michelle well, so I wanted to reach out to her. I know Alex really well, and I know Alex has really been trying to make sure that the team builds out their system, and Alex won't stop talking about the fact that she's kind of at the point that really Jill runs her business. I knew that Jill was going to be a great asset on this. So here's what I want to ask both of you. If you could go back 6 months, 12 months, what do you wish you would have set up when you guys had really been earlier in the business that you're starting to set up in the last 6 to 12 months? That if you could make a few first suggestions to people trying to dial in their onboarding system, what few things would you say are primary to really focus on as soon as possible? What recommendations might you have?
I think communication was extremely important to tell our agents how it's going to be handled and basically set that expectation up front. We thought we were doing a great job. We started doing a great job afterwards. I mean, we literally started like putting it everywhere. We're open while title is open. We close at 5, because they would like, why are you texting us at 9? You know, we're not available, but it's like,
yeah.
So it's like, if starting at the beginning, I wish I would have been more proactive about how our communication styles are and when we're available. If you're going to start anywhere, you start there.
So when you're available, hours of availability, I always think of that as kind of one phrase you said a little earlier, setting proper levels of expectation. Okay.
Right.
So for onboarding, you wish you had done a better job of that up front with your agents. Now, let's all be honest. After we've worked with an agent for 3 years, if we haven't done that right up front, to backpedal on that when they've been used to a certain level of expectation for 3 years and try to backpedal on that and go back to where you wish you would have started them is not a position you want to be in. It's not a position you want to be in. And it's very frustrating, and it's almost heartbreaking, and it's almost scary. Let's just be honest, to try to go back to those agents and reset a proper level of expectation. Some of us, we're looking for that income and we're afraid we could actually lose a customer. Okay. So I 100% agree. The onboarding, setting proper levels of expectation of when they can expect communication, when they can expect responses, all of those types of things. I would 100% agree. Jill, what about for you?
I think what worked, actually, this is just something that's probably in the last couple of weeks we're really starting to focus on now, is validating that agent first. I mean, there's those what we call the onesie twosie agents that do a couple deals a year
Yeah.
that are eating up more of our time than the
Yep.
bigger ones.
Yep.
So a couple examples, we've had someone reached out that Alex sent the contract out, it just never got signed. All of a sudden, 3 months later, a contract shows up, and Alex is like, I don't even know who this person is. Don't remember the conversation. We've had people that have signed the contract and never did anything. So while I was doing some other stuff for open to close, I was kind of going through and I'm like searching emails, I'm like, we haven't heard from this person in 4 months. So now we're kind of going back and setting up a, more of a check-in with them, and because it reflects the forecasting of what the TCs are doing. So it's reflecting that. But I think validating and not just being so desperate to take on those 1 and 2 agents.
Yep.
Because what we're kind of seeing is they're eating up more of our time than the ones that are actually producing.
Yep.
And not in a bad way, but yeah.
No, but it is still true. It's very, very, very true. So, okay. So I have an onboarding question that I'm very curious what both of you do with this. Okay. I certainly have my opinion on this, but my opinion came from a lot of pain. Okay. Because I messed this up like nobody's business at one point. When you take on a new agent, now we also took on a lot of teams, okay, which is another experience altogether. Okay. Do you say we will start working together from ground zero when you have your first file to turn into us? Or if they have 5 files already in process, will you get involved in those 5 files at all? Oh, Michelle, just your face right there. Michelle, talk to me. Where are you with diving into existing files when you get started?
No. Not if it already has passed inspections, we have no issue being there. It's gonna be horrible. Yeah. No one's gonna talk to us, and it's not gonna be the greatest way to start the relationship. Why I said that? Because we tried, people like, oh, I have this one. I was like, yeah, send it over.
Yeah.
No, it's not the best. You want to start fresh, the relationship. If you had someone coming into your office and you had a file that's been straggling there for 40 days, you weren't going to give them that file in the first place, because what are they going to do? The most that we'll do is we'll provide compliance for them. Okay. That's it, because we don't talk to anybody. We're not giving timelines. We have no idea what the conversation's about, but we'll fulfill your brokerage requirements on that file. No problem doing that. But to full TC a file that's already been ongoing for a couple of days, people have been chatting with each other, they're just going to ignore you. If you're not there setting the expectation, I'm your point of contact, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're moving forward. No one, I swear to you, no one will, they're not even going to take that. They're like, what's this person doing here? And they're going to keep moving forward. So we just don't do that.
Okay, so let me ask you, if I'm an agent, just verbiage that you might use with me, and I say, I'm excited to get started with you guys. I got 5 files already in process. How do you want me to send those over to you? You want me to just give you my login and password so that you can jump into them?
No, it's all good. Those files have been in process for quite a bit, and we're not able to move in and do a full transaction coordination on that. But what we can do is fulfill your brokerage requirements so you get paid on that day. Does that sound like it's workable for you?
Okay, so something you just did that I love to hear taught all the time. I will say no more than almost anybody I know to my agents, but I'll never say no without telling them what I can do for them. There is nothing wrong with saying no, okay? But don't just say no and be done with the conversation, okay? Say no and offer up what you can do to bring them value and bring them service, okay?
Yeah.
So
there's nothing wrong with working for you for a pain point. It's like, I want to provide you a solution, and one that's going to be beneficial to both of us. Yeah. It's not going to work out. We tried it before. Yeah.
Jill, and it doesn't mean that this is right or wrong. It's some people do jump in the middle of files, and that's how they gain customers, and that's fine. Do.
Yeah. Apparently we haven't had that big enough pain point yet. Okay. We will tell them that, like, there's no discount. It's like, you're a week from closing. Great. We'll do it. Full file fee. You're not getting a break because we're jumping in a week before. We're still having to do, all the compliance. You're still making sure you get paid. So we'll jump in, and actually I do see that quite a bit. We get a new agent, great, I had one that I just opened last week, or that I was going to handle, but you know what, I just can't. Let me just, can I pass it off to you? Yep. But they just have to know that it's not at a discounted rate.
Mm-hmm.
It's normal. Like we were starting from the beginning. What I usually do when I've had it before is I'll just alter my intro a little bit and say, you know, hey, I'm jumping in here to assist with, you know, paperwork, and I'll just kind of make it sound like, yeah, I know I'm coming in late. I know they're not going to email me back, probably, or not going to talk to me, but here's why I'm asking you for stuff all of a sudden a week before closing.
Okay.
So
So the one thing I would mention about this, and I love that we had two different perspectives on this, okay, is don't improvise that. Make a decision what direction you're going to go.
right.
And put a system in process. Put a system in place. If you're not going to, know what you're going to say. If you're going to do it, know exactly what you're going to say and what your process is to get in the middle of the file and finish that file, okay? It's not that one answer is right or wrong. The right answer is that whatever decision you decide to go with, you need to know that that's your decision up front. You're not improvising this in the middle of a conversation with the agent. You know what you're going to do before you go into the conversation. And then once that conversation happens, you have a full-blown system and process of how to move forward on what that decision is.
Yeah.
Okay. And Michelle or Jill, any other feedback on that particular item or disagreement with what I had just mentioned? I'm okay with that too.
No, I mean, I think that, I mean, our agents, they've got to submit a form. It's, you know, pretty basic information, just given some, you know, information that we can't get on the contract. And we'll tell them, great, we'll take it. Just get, as soon as that form comes into us, we'll run with it. I kind of leave it up to them though, because I've had a couple like, oh, I'm going to need you to jump in this file. Great, send it in. I'm not going to go chase them to give me that file. So I've had some that kind of just linger a little bit, but you turn it in, we'll finish it out for you.
Okay. So let me just ask, Lindsay, Amber, Michelle, Tony, anybody, is where is your biggest pain point right now with onboarding? Lindsay.
Me.
All right, go, Lindsay, go.
Okay, I'm going to say 3 because then you can answer how you want to. Okay, so
Go for it.
Michelle, I know specifically you on some of your package, you have special branding for your agents and your signature lines potentially. Okay, I have an extreme problem where agents are coming to us with a contract, and that's our first ever touch is, here's a contract that I want you to work on, all the documents, here you go, I'm ready to pay you. Okay, so not a discovery call to see if we want to work with each other or anything. It's just, here's the contract, and I don't even have anything on my website saying that here, submit a contract. It's not on my website. That's private. I don't have something saying that we're open. Come do it. I've actually had agents CC us on emails to their brokers saying, here's my new transaction coordinator. Please set up a time to explain their compliance with us.
No discovery call, no setup, no nothing. We're just doing business with Lindsay now. We're letting her know today, but
And we've had those, but I don't know about that short.
Oh my gosh, it's so weird. And for that one, I was like, I guess. I don't know. So so our problem is in that situation, because we do custom branding, I'm then responsible for stopping what I'm doing and quick rushing to try to, I need your headshot, I need your branding, I need to figure out how to create your custom signature and all this stuff. Okay, because you've got a new contract today. And then 2, how do I go back and set those expectations when I'm now trying to hurry up and do a new file for them? Do you turn down those files or that? And then the last one is with brokerages, when you're signing on a brokerage, which we only have one, but I'm having problems setting the expectation of I need all of that stuff from your new agents when they come into the brokerage, not when they have a file that they'd like to give me. So I'm trying to have that conversation with the owner saying, hey, send them our stuff in your opening package to them that they're becoming a new brokerage or they're joining your company. This is the stuff that your TC is going to need from you well in advance of that first contract, but it's still coming down to, here's the contract. I went mutual yesterday. Get it going for me, please.
Lindsay, if I can reword what I think one of your questions were, because I kind of have a similar question. What happens when you end up with an agent that is ready to go sooner than what your process is set up to do?
Every day.
They want to run now, and you're like, we have actual steps and
Mhm.
processes for us to start working together. What about the agent that's ready to go today and you're ready to go next week?
I mean, I'll go for it. Honestly, Alex will say, like, look, we have process and systems, and it's not a same day service. So we get agents all the time, like, great, I want to sign up, I want to use you. I have a contract, I just opened escrow. What do I do? First, get on my calendar. So Alex will send them a link to her Calendly. They've got to make that appointment, and it's never a same day appointment. So she's got it blocked out where you can't do that. So we're already setting the expectations. Like, you may want to push us to jump. We're not going to do that, because you do that once. Guess what's going to happen with that agent? Every single time they have an emergency, it becomes your emergency. So
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. What about you, Michelle? How do you handle that?
Likewise. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for just sending me this blind. I have no idea who's going to handle this for you. And you just chose our biggest package. That's awesome. That takes about 48 hours to set up. Let's get on a call and discuss how we're going to move forward together.
Yep.
Congratulations on the file, though. Appreciate you. Like, seriously, I can't.
Yeah.
I cannot do anything. It is my process for a reason. I have to go through those steps. It's not going to end well if it starts like that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I will say that a lot of times, again, I'm always, and I've just, maybe it's over years and habits and stuff, I'm always okay saying no. 100% of the time, I'm okay saying no. But it's because I already know that I'm going to come up with something to tell them that is a solution that would actually benefit them anyways. It's not like I feel like I'm just saying no and I'm walking away from business, or saying no and they're going to be upset. Okay. The fact is we have a process for a reason. The other thing that I will mention is, I think as an independent transaction coordinator, we need to really have a little bit of a mindset change. Again, verbiage not everyone's going to agree with. I don't think I'm here to serve the agent. I just don't. I'm not subservient to the agent. I'm not here to serve the agent. I'm here to partner with the agent. I see that as a difference. Okay. Now, through my partnership, I am going to serve them, but I don't start with the point that I'm here to serve them. I'm here to find a partnership with that agent that they are going to find an enormous amount of benefit out of. Okay. I can't properly partner with them if I can't take them through my system and my processes. Okay. If it's all about whether I'm available at the drop of a hat when they want me, they're not going to get the best version of me. And I'm going to just be real blunt. I'm not a good fit for them. And that's okay. We don't have to be a good fit for everybody. That's okay. Okay. But Lindsay, if someone were to do that to me, I would have fun. Anytime I say no to someone, I make sure they're laughing by the time they leave as well. That's another thing. Your delivery actually matters. I would find a way to slow them down and do exactly what the two of them said. I would take them back through the process.
So Michelle, with your you've got the week-long process, would you take them through that whole thing at that point, or do you have kind of a sped up version if you do have somebody that's ready to go now?
If they have already gone through our discovery sessions, they signed our service agreement, and they so happen to get a file while they're going through the Win series, we'll take care of the file because they've obviously already gone on how to submit a file.
Yeah.
And they've already heard communication. Everything else is just a deep dive into all of our services, our products, how we help the community, and things of that nature. But they've obviously already gone through the first one, which is the most important one. And the ones that are really important are the first one and the last one. The first one goes through, hey, this is how you submit a file. This is our communication. The last one is, what happens if we don't get paid?
Yep.
So that we end good and we start good, but it's like they got the most important stuff really on the first video.
Yeah. And I will chime in with what you just said, Michelle, about those videos. Is we did the same thing. I mean, that's where I first learned how valuable Loom would be to me. I mean, loom.com. I mean, any video that's below 5 minutes, it's free anyways. You don't have to pay for the service. Now we use the paid version of Loom, which is still cheap, just because we do also videos that are longer than 5 minutes. But you can use Loom video for less than 5 minutes. And it's free. And we put together a little frequently asked kind of questions, introductions to our new agents. And definitely, what's one of the first ones? How to submit a file. So there's proper levels of expectation of not just how to do it, but what we're expecting we're going to get. And then proper level of expectation of what they'll hear back from us if we don't feel that we're getting what we need or what we've asked for. So yeah, it's just setting proper levels of expectation, but hands down, we use videos.
You just put stuff in my 401. I need to start doing more of the videos because it so many questions that come back.
Yep.
I need to get in front of the screen a little bit more, I know.
And
So-
it's great though, they'll love it because
Yeah.
they have something they can reference back, and it's systemized now. Like
Exactly.
everybody gets the exact same information
Yep.
That's
every
key.
time.
That's key right there. Everybody gets the same information. Let's all be honest. Don't some days we show up a better human being than other days? Come on. Sometimes we're tired. Sometimes we're cranky. Sometimes we're stressed. Okay. So the agent that got me on a good day gets my best version of me, and the other agent gets whatever shows up that day. That's not fair. How compassionate is that? That's ridiculous. Okay. That's not fair to the agent that catches me on not my best day. Okay. Everybody should get the same level of service. Everybody should get the same message. And then it's not about, I felt rushed, so I was supposed to cover 5 points. And on that particular person, because I felt rushed, I hit 4 of them really well. What happened to the 5th one? Where did that go? Okay, it just got dropped that day. Why? I had a bad day. I was stressed. I was busy. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable on every level. The only other thing that I'll say, because this has nothing to do with onboarding, but just because Jill said, I got to add that to my 411. Anybody else wants to add something else to your 411? What we would do is I've had usually a top 10 library, video library for my agents for the most frequently asked questions, how to submit a contract, all that stuff. I also have a top 10 video for our buyers and sellers. Okay. What are the most frequently asked questions that we get from our buyers and sellers? And when on my introduction call, I always let them know where they can find those. And the buyers and sellers loved it. But here's the other thing. It's an amazing recruiting tool. Okay. Is because the agents see that you do that. Okay. And you can actually put that in your signature. Top 10 frequently asked questions for buyers and sellers from contract to post close. Now, the agent on the other side of the transaction sees that on every email he's copied in. He clicks on that and goes, are you kidding me? I've never seen a transaction coordinator like this ever. This is ridiculous.
We get a lot of our stuff from other sides.
Co-op agents.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, if no client ever even clicked on those videos, you think there isn't going to be a co-op agent or something that always wants to get better at his business and doesn't click on it, just kind of curious? And he's like, wow, this Michelle girl's got her stuff together. This is ridiculous. I would love to have something like this. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Can I ask one more question?
Go for it.
Okay, so I heard that there's an opportunity to make an additional plan of sorts for maybe recovering clients that we haven't heard of for a long time, or maybe they left and didn't tell us. How do you guys? Yeah, how do you guys handle that on bigger teams? I'm assuming that Alex isn't necessarily watching over every single one of your TC's agents. Is the TC responsible for raising their hand? Are they making those follow-up calls?
Who owns it?
And that's what we're working on right now. So I don't have like this is what happens when exactly. I will tell you that, there'll be times where, we get a call, we know they've hired an admin. We get a lot of agents that hired admins and still keep us. So that's not necessarily a uh-oh call. It's, but it's a heads up.
Yep.
We will all of a sudden maybe not have access to their MLS because we were shut off and they didn't tell us. But now what we're starting to do is myself and the director of op are now going back and looking at the names so that we're looking at forecasting. Okay, when's the last time we heard of that one? So she's actually tracking their production, tracking what's going on. When's the last time we had that touch with them? Right now, Alex is still owning the follow-up with the agent. It is probably in our 12-month goal or whatever to have more of I don't even know what she called it, but someone else that's doing the lead generation, that's touching, the touches with the agents and that stuff. Right now, that is still Alex. But it's so right now it's a lot of forecasts, it's a lot of spreadsheets that we're
Okay.
looking in. So, and it's not necessarily like, well, you have to come up and say we're looking at numbers more than anything else right now.
And Michelle, I thought I heard you say, but expand on this if you'd like, is in Lion's Desk in your CRM, you kind of have triggers to remind you to touch base with them from time to time. Is there more of the process, or is that kind of really what you focus on, or what is it for you?
So our team meets once a week, and I'm finding out about each of their relationships, what's going on during those meetings.
Okay.
And if I'll see, like, I don't know, my mind is kind of, I'm a stalker. And I am friends with absolutely each and every one of my clients. I'll preface it like that. So if I see, they went under contract with something, and I'll ask their TC, hey, have you gotten this file? No, I got my eye on you. I'm going to wait a week or two. If I didn't see them the second week, then I'm calling. And it's already triggered. I already have it in my notes. I'm here like, call them in 2 weeks if they didn't submit the file. So I don't know how it's going to be now that we have all these new agents all around us. It's going to be, I'll figure out life as we go through it, because we've never had this amount of agents before.
Sure.
But right now I'm just like, okay, this is my process. If I see something, because I am in relationship, I'm liking all their kids' photos, their dog birthdays, their this, their that, whatever's going on in their life, I'm like in it in the social media phase, right? Then I'll be taking a look at that. And if I see, okay, I have to have another call, because I have my systematic check-ins with the client already, just to make sure that the relationship is still what we were expecting. If they have any feedback for us, if there's anything that they wish they saw more, and maybe it's something that we can't really do, so I can clarify for them the reasons why in that conversation, because that does come up. Oh, I would love for you guys to negotiate. And we're like, sorry, sweetheart, that's just not allowable in Florida. But the great thing is that you have the complete control over the negotiations, and you always still shine in front of your client for doing your part. And that's it. That answers that one. But that does come up a lot for some reason. They want us to negotiate. And I'm like, no. But anyway, that is already a trigger in my line desk to follow up with the client. Once they've been with us over a year, then it's different. From the first year, we have, while they're waiting for their first file, there's a 2-week check-in point from that. Then while they're going through their first file, we're checking in 2 weeks for that first file, the same with the second file, and the same with the third file, just to make sure that we're all in the same expectation. Once we've gone through the third file for us, then we're checking in every 3 months. It's no more 2-week check-in points. Now we're just going to let it breathe, let everything just go regularly, and see what happens at that point. Now we're checking in every 3 months. And then they're getting all of our reviews, all of our things that we're going through in our process, because there's a lot that goes in here. Like, we are investing a lot in figuring out who you are, what you're about, and how we can, really mesh well together through that year. Then we're going through our work anniversaries together. And then now it's like, okay, we're spending a lot more time together, and we're checking in. If they're going to fall, it's usually within the first 6 months. Okay. And it's usually for a reason.
There's another, and I don't know if anybody else does this, but I do this, is the agents that I'm thinking about is not the one that, okay, they haven't put in a file for 3 months or something like that. The fact is, if I've got a producer that's putting in 2, 3, 4, 5 files per month, they're a reasonable producer. What do I know? I'm in their compliance quite a few times a month.
You can see.
100%. 100%. You're in their compliance how many times per day, or at least per week? If they're starting to think about leaving you, you're going to start seeing files pop up in their compliance that you never received. That's my number one place that I'm looking, hands down, always. Okay. A lot of times, that's the sooner that you can see that, the better chance that you have to find out, where did we fall down? What can we do to heal that relationship and start working together again? Okay. What they may not want to tell you, because they may be leaving the brokerage. They may be there's a lot of other reasons that may have nothing to do with you, have nothing to do with you. Okay. Now I'm just going to tell you what my script is, because it's literally this simple. I am Mr. Self-deprecating and always willing to throw myself under a bus for anything. Okay. That's just the way that I like to work. Okay. And I'll go, And I'll call up Joe and go, Joe, I gotta talk to you. I think I really screwed up. I'll call Joe and go, Joe, I'm not kidding. I think I dropped the ball. Why? What happened? I just looked in your compliance and I know you probably sent me these files and I don't even know how I missed them, but I totally dropped the ball.
I love it.
I'm going to throw myself under the bus like you've never seen anybody throw that.
Right.
Joe, I don't even know how I did it. What do I got to do to make this right? Oh, now they're embarrassed. They're like, okay. And they're trying to tell me why they didn't send it to me. What am I doing? I want that conversation to start.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I got to throw myself under the bus to do it, I've never met anyone more comfortable than throwing themselves under the bus than me. I love it. Okay. I love it.
I love
Okay?
that script though.
Okay. And by the way, do you notice that that script doesn't just have words? Okay. I'm going to look so bad, feel so bad. Okay. And here's the thing is I am emotionally distraught that there are files in there that don't have my name on them. Okay.
Not for the same reason though, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal is that would be one thing if it helps anything. The only other thing that I want to say, because I do think that the number one time to touch base with that client is not the ones that you haven't heard from for 3 months. It's the ones that you're still hearing from, but get in their files and notice when things aren't coming to you. You can see that. You absolutely 110% of the time can see that, unless they've already left the brokerage and they've also got another compliance that you know nothing about in another system. But if it's in that system, you know it. You know it day 1, not on day 30, not on day 60, not on day 90. You know it on day 1. Okay. Last thing that I would say, because I didn't hear it brought up here, but I'll just mention it because I think I heard Alex say it on another call a few days ago or last week, and I agree with this, is a lot of us use forms, whether it's Jot forms, Cognito forms, or anything else like that, to make sure that we're gathering information from agents. Here's one complaint I've heard over and over and over and over again for years, and for some reason it doesn't register in my head. I'm having a hard time with the complaint because I don't get it. Okay, so maybe I'm dense. The deal is this, is people go, I send these forms to get the information from the agents and they never fill it out and they never send it back. They never give me their information. They never fill out the forms. The form's not for them. The form's for you. Okay. I never expect them to fill out the form. Now, if I've got an over-aggressive one and he will fill out the form, I will send my onboarding forms of the general information that I want ahead of time and say, by the way, when we get together, here's all the questions I'm going to go through. I'm going to send it ahead of time. Some agents just love to just read it and fill it out and send it back. If that's you, God bless your soul. You'll also notice that once you're filling out the forms, there's some information you want to give at the bottom. It'll say save for later, and then we'll just finish it on the call. Why do I have the form? So I don't miss anything, not so that they will fill it out. So who's the form really for? It's me. It's my script. So when I'm with them, I remember what information to gather. Come on, we're here to give the agents leverage. If they don't fill out a form, I'm not going to freak out, okay? And people will judge what their relationship with the agent is because the agent did or didn't fill out their form. That's not the time to judge your relationship and what this working relationship is going to be like. They don't even know who you are yet, okay? So I would take that form, I'll give it to them because some of them just like to fill it out, but other ones, when we get on our discovery call or our introduction call where we're starting to gather information past the discovery call, I'm going to use that. And some of them will go, yeah, I totally opened that up. I'm sure I'm glad you sent it ahead of time because I wouldn't have had any idea where to find that stuff if you didn't give me that kind of time. On the first call, if they haven't looked at it, I'm going to go through it. Now they know what points that they need to go look for. Great, I'll save the form till later. Let's do our second call and I'll gather these last 3 pieces of information, or you can just email them to me. What's going to be better? Can we do that by noon tomorrow? Okay, great. Okay. When you're asking agents to fill out forms, sometimes remember that the form is not for them. It's for us to make sure that we don't forget to gather certain information. So just another thought process on onboarding. If you're going to do things like that, create something for you. Share it with them if they choose to help you with your job. Great. If they don't, who cares? Okay. That's just how I handle that. Not saying everybody will agree with it, but anyways, anything else, Michelle, Jill, on the way out here? anything that you want to share with anybody as they kind of get their process started, or anything that you'd encourage them, Jill?
The only thing that I'm really thinking about is write down, like every little step, even if you think it's like, oh, I don't need to put that on my checklist of what to do. Every single step when you get a new agent, write it down. And if it's something as simple as throwing it in a Trello checklist, you can just duplicate and make a template of it. Start there, because that's honestly what we did. It kind of all started when Alex went on maternity leave last year, and someone else had to own the signing up of new agents, and realizing I love Alex to death, but she will be the first to admit she's not the great at some system things. So there wasn't a system in place, and figuring out what do we need to do, to get that done. So every little step, even if it's simple as like go to this website and check this box, whatever it is, just start writing down the little steps and start there.
And what I would say about that is assume that you are building a process based on what would work today if you were 3 times this size tomorrow, and build that system, okay? With one more assumption. If you were 3 times the size tomorrow, you no longer own this role, which means you have to show it to someone else. So 2 things: build a system that is scalable. Number 2, document it in a 2nd grade level way, assuming you will no longer own this role, and you have to have it set up in a way that you could hand it nicely over to someone else.
Assume you can't be reached. You're on vacation in the future somewhere.
Yes,
They've got to
100%.
take care of it. And yep.
100%. Michelle, anything else on the way out?
I think you guys covered it well. It's why I had to create mine. Alex and I actually had a conversation because we went through the same pain point going on maternity leave. So you're always documenting for the future for whoever's going to own that role. And that's just the truth. At one point, like right now, I would love to have a director of ops, and this is everything that you will take care of. It's so easy. And I've already documented my sales process for when I bring a salesperson in, because this is legit how I want to be shown in the world. And it is a system that can be done by anyone that can read.
I love it. Michelle, just because you just said what you said, I'm going to throw you, I want it on recording right now. When are you giving up this role? What's the date? When are you going to have a director of ops?
I have 2 posts already out for hiring on it. So hopefully I will have someone that I can mesh well with in our team culture.
Yep.
By June.
All right. There's a date.
Love it.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah. Lindsay, thank you for your questions. Thank you, other Michelle. So everybody, we will send out this recording. Chrissy, when do you think that will be edited? Probably middle of next week and sent out? Okay.
Yes. Earliest might be Tuesday.
Okay.
Latest would be Wednesday.
Okay, fantastic. We'll get this sent out, and then we'll throw it in the membership course as well. Okay. Tons of love, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys later. Bye-bye.